Hey guys, I wanted to make this video because I was literally walking around in Hollywood and I bumped into this guy who was a rapper. He gave me a CD, he signed it, and I just happened to be walking around and listening to DMX. And I've been wanting to make a video about the song called Damien. And we started talking about the song, and he was like, "You know what Damien means?" And I'm like, "What does that mean?" And I think I knew what it meant, but the song really doesn't detail Satan really, but he was saying it's the devil. And so, what's interesting about this track, Damien, is that it deals with entity attachment. And so he's calling out to a guardian angel. Well, this guardian angel is not an angel at all. It's actually a demonic entity that's attached to him, that's telling him to do all these things, that'll get him a Benz, blood out, blood in. If you do all these things, you can get all these hoes. And he continuously keeps doing it and thinks that there's a sense of gratuity or gratitude or appreciation here. But then he's pushed to the precipice of having to kill one of his best friends. He's like, "No, that's my man. I don't want to do that." He's like, "But I thought I was your man. I thought I was like your main guy." And then, at the end of the song, he said, "Oh, there's nothing but trouble ahead. The snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How are you going to see if you're living in the fog?" Well, that's kind of like the nature of life and how the world has been set up, is that a lot of us don't understand that when we shut our brain off. And it was funny that the rapper even said like 85% of people don't even know like what the song's about. And he asked me what song I was listening to, and it was off of DMX's first album, It's Dark and Hell is Hot. And so I think what's interesting about this track is that it really deals with what are you going to listen to, the angel on your shoulder or the devil on your shoulder, this contrast. And we were even talking about the sudden shift in the first two records, because in the first two records it was very, very dark, and then the third record, DMX talks about his faith and his love and appreciation for God. So that is interesting, this the drastic shift. And also at the time, DMX made two or three albums in the span of a year and a half. I mean, he did so much work, body of work, in hour-long albums. But if you knew the subject matters, a lot of the subject matters changed drastically. It was always about, like, yeah, there was a lot of robbing and killing and, just gangster rap. But there was a sentiment of changing his ways. There was a sentiment seeing the error in his ways. And it was also like this concept of wanting to turn over a new leaf. Whereas the other one was like the fame, the glitz, the glamour, the snake, the rat, the cat, the dog. How are you going to live if you're seeing through the fog? And it's kind of like, how he's like, "Oh, I'm going to call my wife and kid and tell them about I met this guy named Damien. He's going to make everything in my life right. And my life is going to be better because of that." And it progressively gets worse. It progressively gets worse because he's being put in these situations where it's like uh, he's kind of like losing a sense of morality, losing a sense of himself in the fame and the glitz and the glamour. And so when you kind of like understand like this concept of it's like Nosferatu in the movie Nosferatu. She's calling out to God, and then in that moment, she realizes that Nosferatu's got her, a false god, a false idol, um, Dracula, you know. But it's the same thing. Like, he's like, "I need a guardian angel," and then here comes Damien, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you the hose, I'm gonna get you the Benz, I'm gonna get you everything that you've ever wanted, blood out and blood in. But I thought I was your man. I thought like we were tight because you were doing all the things. You were robbing and killing people, and you were doing all the things that I wanted you to do." And he's like, and he's like, "But I thought I was your man." And then at the end of the song, it's like, there's nothing but trouble ahead, because he has the realization that he really fucked up. Like, he really made a grave error. Like, he really made a big mistake believing in this angel that wasn't an angel. So that's another concept I wanted to bring up in this video, was that it's essentially a misguide. It's a misguide because it's an entity attachment. There's a lot of DMX's songs that deal with like entity attachment, um, or like being like way too aggressive, or just acting out in a subtle rage. But like it's essentially a misguide, and it's essentially entity attachment, and it's also um, what happens when we really don't know who we're calling out to. Let that sit in your spirit for a minute.